will tell you this, that guys like, for example, Brad Kimes, who understands Nasara Jasara, he's made a video about 2.5 years, 3 years ago, which is a very, very entailed video. You could talk to him about it about when you get on the phone with him here in the next hour. It's all going to come down to how the chips are going to line up. Yes, is this going to hurt a lot of people? Absolutely. Do we need a new system? No question about it. Do we need a debt forgiveness? Absolutely. Look, you and I are both in agreement that the system is broken. Continuing, it's like being at the bar. You're drunk as hell, but you decide to drink another, fifth of tequila. Chances are you might die. Right now, the system is so volatile that you're literally a category 2 earthquake will take this whole entire thing down. The guys and girls upstairs know that. Will they try to fake a Jasara and Nasara of their own? Yes. Is it the military? You're in a movie that is so complicated. Let me tell you, let me put it to you in perspective. I've had people from the XRP Army 1.0, and they report the news as if the third world is never going to go away. I got bad news for you. It's going to go away. But before we get started, folks, make sure you hit the pause button. Okay, go down below. There's a Rumble link. Go over to Rumble and follow us over there. QFS1776.com is, without question, the holy grail of what's to come. Okay, T-shirts. You got to get yourself decorated. This way people will ask you, what is XRP? What is the quantum financial system? What is this? What is that? And you send them where? To QFS1776.com, where they need to immerse themselves, because we're going to burn down this system down to the ground. And out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. There will be nothing to go back to. Believe me when I tell you that. Unified TV will take over Netflix. We're bringing in the next genre of movie producers and storytellers and actors and actresses. And we're telling the story of how the world is going to be on earth as it is in heaven. Jasara Nasara is coming. Don't make no mistake about it. Gold and silver right down below. Promo code Mel Carmine. Make sure you use the promo code. Almost $8 billion in sales. We're direct to like a bunch of mints. We are the ones that can get you the gold and silver directly to your door, okay, at the cheapest price. Don't even waste your time looking for a cheaper price. It doesn't exist. Also, our Telegram groups down below. If you want to learn what's coming and you're sort of a little scared, I understand. Believe me, I was there too at one point. Our Patriots are literally waiting for you in the room. And if you need more than $10,000 worth of XRP or $1 million worth of XRP, you come see me. Send me an email at QFS1776@gmail, and we'll get you as much as you want. Well, guys, guess what? My chair is back. This is no longer a green screen. This is my chair. The standoff, the Mexican standoff in Costa Rica is finally over. Look at the background. Thank you to Mrs. Prada for that painting. That's awesome. We got Donald Trump looking down, making sure that I get the gold and the silver to the little people. So we're going to make sure we do that. So it's official. My chair is back. Guys, it's been a while since we had Andy Schectman back, okay? Now, in regards to, what's coming, the quantum financial system is an absolute guarantee. It's coming. We're winning by a score of 900,000 to nothing, okay? If you're confused, I understand. Go to QFS1776.com and at QFS1776.com. It's free of charge. There's no obligation. There's no upsales. There's none of that stuff. No, we don't play those stupid games, okay? You go there, you watch the videos from top to bottom. By the time you get down to the bottom, guess what? You got a black belt on the quantum financial system, okay? Now, we've had some record, people with big pockets. I'm talking, they literally put Miles Franklin to the test. And all of a sudden, and even though there's very small margins in this business, I'm sure Andy will tell you, we make a little finder's fee, but that finder's fee was like enormous. I thought they made a mistake. I'm like, what's going on? No, he goes, somebody actually bought $1.4 million worth of silver. I'm like, what the hell is this? I was like, I could pay my bills for like 2 months on that little thing, which is pretty nice. And thank you for that. And he's telling me that there's people, talking about, corporations coming in with big money, buying up all the gold and silver. Is that an indication? Andy, welcome to the show, brother. It's been a long time.
It's good to see you, Mel. Thanks for having me back, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it is. It is an indication in two ways. In that, if you look at the last 2 years, the central banks of the world, which aren't even, they're the wealthiest traders on the planet, but more relevant, the most well informed. They have bought more over the last 2 years. Record year 2022, record year 2023, bigger than the previous, more so than in any time in central bank history. And I think the fact that they know the playbook is the point that I would focus on. They're the ones that are most well informed. And when I look at what's happening in the retail side, look, on the wholesale side, I see the LBMA getting bought out. I see the COMEX getting drained. I see the Shanghai Gold Exchange being drained, the ETFs being drained. The big money is slowly draining the epicenters of metal. And yet the volume that we see right now, really since late fall, has been quite muted. And Mel, I would look at it kind of as the eye of the hurricane, where we were all really bitch slapped by the front end of the storm for several years. That started in 2020. And then right now, it just seems this talk of soft landing and hope springs eternal. I don't know what people are looking at because I don't see any of it. But nonetheless, we have the big sophisticated investors hard at work accumulating assets and commodities, and the central banks buying up all the gold. Yet right now in the retail market, other than very large orders by very sophisticated big buyers, the volume is off considerably across the whole industry. I have friends that are in wholesale positions and retail positions around the industry. They say the same thing. It's strangely quiet. I look at that, Mel, as a contrarian indicator, where there's a whole theory, a whole series of theory of investing called Elliott wave or wave theory, Kondratiev wave, which is all based upon human emotion. And people are motivated by greed and by fear. And I think right now, the human emotion side of things, I think really is why people largely are not successful in investing, because they use their emotions. While everyone's making money, they FOMO and chase it too late. You have to buy it when no one wants it, when it's undesirable, when it's undervalued, not when it's already established itself. And the fact that the big money is buying it when no one in the retail market wants it, to me, is just another contrarian indicator that the big money knows the playbook, and the little guy is waiting for something to show itself. And after a very strong S&P year, after making 5% in U.S. Treasuries, people are asleep at the switch. And I think that'll change here in 2024. We've got the big BRICS meeting in October, where 30 other countries have formally applied. There are 200 meetings between now and October, all BRICS meetings in Russia. The big one in October, where they've told us they are going to talk about issuing a common settlement currency where they will admit more countries. Just yesterday, the 5 were fully admitted, that were admitted in January 1st. They have formally accepted, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. It's a massive, 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 massive deal. Well, 30 others have formally applied, another 20 informally. The big meeting is in October, 200 meetings until then. And then, oh yeah, that's right, the biggest election in American history the next month. And so when we talk about, should it be so quiet right now at a time when our borders are wide open, when the cops are getting beaten up in Manhattan by illegal immigrants who are then freed the next day with no bail, and the electoral process, as people are questioning, a third of the country wonders if it's real, if not more. You got all of these things happening at once, and yet it's quiet in this industry. I don't get it, Mel. I truly don't.
It's the culmination of the perfect storm. It's what it sounds like to me, to be quite honest with you. And not to get off track, guys, we're talking about putting together a quantum summit in Cape Canaveral. And this gentleman may very well be in attendance, okay? And that's going to be sometime in April. We don't have the exact date yet. We'll make that announcement. I understand you did purchase some XRP. Did you make any other dips in the pool since the last time we spoke, which is about 9 months ago? Did you buy? Are you a repeat offender? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I've been adding a little bit, and I just, quite frankly, and I'm going to be straight up with you, Mel. I mean, my life is metals and old school, but between being on with you and the folks at the Black Swan and Digital Investor, I didn't want to say that I should have done that. I don't even know enough about it to be intelligent, but I just know enough to be dangerous and that I didn't want to miss out. So to give you a perspective, and this will probably piss you off and the rest of people that follow you, I haven't bought a little bit of Bitcoin because I don't want to miss out. Now, again, I don't know. I figure it's better to have a little bit after. Look, here's the deal. Whether you're talking Bitcoin or XRP or gold, I think you could argue that we all come to a certain point for somewhat the same reason. And it's the system is broken. We can all agree on that. We all walk in the door for the same reason, a broken system. I think where it deviates a little bit, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think the Bitcoin and the XRP people go one way because it's the allure of making a big profit, of buying something massively undervalued that will change the world and will create great profit. The gold people go the other way. They buy something that has a 5,000-year history because they're scared and they don't want to lose anything. They're not as concerned about making a profit as they are about preservation. But I think the important thing is that we both enter the door for the same reason. And you could argue that that these theories do not need to be mutually exclusive of one another, that you can have an understanding, a very basic, in my case, a very, very, very rudimentary understanding of what these new technologies represent. And you can respect that. At the same time, you can understand what precious metals are and respect that. And for me, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Too many people make this a one or the other situation, but I will give compliment to the XRP community, because the folks that I've been on, whether it be you or Digital Asset Investor or the Black Swan, all understand that it doesn't have to be either or, that it doesn't need to be mutually exclusive, and that there are reasons to own both. And that's kind of the camp I fall in. But I will admit that I am not the person that understands what it is I own nearly probably as well as I should have.
Well, for your audience sake, I can tell you that Amber and I have been very, very deep down the rabbit hole to the point where you need to have a pressure suit. Otherwise, parts of your body start to malfunction. Okay. We've been very deep down this rabbit hole. 9 years comes up on May 18th for us. So we've been at this for quite some time. We understand this and we have looked at it from every conceivable angle. The Bitcoin, in my opinion, right now, there's two schools of thoughts. There's people that think that, the old world is going to survive, the three-dimensional world that you already said, and I've agreed with you. It's totally broken. It's completely broken. The dollar's been on life support. Everything's backed up by nothing, thin air. It's just basically a mentality or a belief system that we believe it's worth that, and that's what makes it its value. It's not backed up by gold. We're moving into a gold standard. We're moving into a silver standard. But the reality is, the XRP was the fix for the Bitcoin. In other words, when they realized, holy shit, this Bitcoin thing is still stuck at 3 transactions per minute, right? And that was supposed to be the monetary exchange for the world. And we're going into a world from 5.5 quadrillion movement of money into potentially as high as 100 quadrillion with the UBI. And you got India, Africa, and Southeast Asia unbanked by 95%. When you start to calculate that maybe 3.2 billion people are going to be moving an average of about $500 to $1,000 a month, okay, through the banking system, because now they're banked, and that system has to travel through the XRP because it's the only one that's already moved trillions of dollars. It's the only one that's scalable to 3.5 trillion transactions per second. Now, coming back to the Bitcoin, they try to fix it so many times to no avail. I mean, I'm talking thousands of teams for more than a decade trying to do what's called the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network is a failure, is an object failure on steroids. Okay, it's still stuck at three transactions per minute. You're about to talk to Bradley Kimes, a good friend of mine. I'm going to be at the convention. Hopefully you'll be there in Vegas on the 3rd and the 4th of May. I'll meet you in person. He'll tell you he moved 2 Bitcoins. It cost him $5,000 and he had to wait 6 hours to get his Bitcoin. Okay, that is not going to work. That's why the XRP came about. Now, will this ETF stuff that they're attaching to it and the cavalry is going to come make it survive maybe another 2 years? If Jasara and Nasara is delayed again, the answer is yes. Is it possible that the Bitcoin is going to go to 100,000, 200,000? The answer is potentially yes. But the guys who know the game, who own both XRP and Bitcoin, right? And they understand that it is XRP. They know that if the ETFs comes, or when the ETFs come and it goes to 100,000, a lot of them already have what's called an exit strategy. And they're going to exit at 100,000. They're going to exit at 90,000. They're going to exit at 92,000, whatever the number is, right? And they're going to parlay a lot of that money over into what? The one that could go to trillions of transactions per second. Guys, don't even try to fact check me, all right? I've done my homework. I've been here for almost 9 years. Okay, we know that it's scalable to 3.5 trillion transactions per second. Never made a mistake, moved trillions of dollars. It's going to move all the money on earth. This is the 99,000-pound gorilla that's in the room. Nobody wants to acknowledge it, but yet it's in the room. But everybody's talking Bitcoin, 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 because they got to milk that son of a bitch for all that it's worth. And then they're going to parlay it over. And when that day comes, the same people who were able to sell a bunch of hot air on Bitcoin, because that's all it is, it's hot air, okay? They're going to be able to sell XRP a lot faster than Bitcoin, let me tell you. Okay? That's where this is an education mostly for your people out there than mine. My people literally have a black belt on this shit, believe it or not.
No, I believe that. Well, after 9 years, I would expect nothing less. But yeah, I think that the mistake people make is not having an open mind, and I do. Like I always tell people, I grew up in a house where my parents were hippies, so I don't care what nothing bothers me, and I'm open to listening to all different viewpoints and from all different kinds of people, regardless of their background or their ideology. And I think that's kind of what's missing in this country is open-mindedness and listening to other people's viewpoints. If we don't, this cancel culture thing where if you don't listen to me, kiss my ass. Well, I don't like that, because if we don't listen to other people and listen to their viewpoints and try and understand, we never grow. And I am someone who is capable of growth. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's not true. It's just, it depends if the old dog has an open mind or not and is willing to listen. So I appreciate it, Mel, and I a lot of what I hear is compelling enough to where I'm able to motivate myself into dabbling a bit.
Yeah, well, you did the right thing. Eventually, someone's going to be proven right. Someone is going to be proven wrong. Someone's going to win. It's not Klaus Schwab and George Soros on the quantum financial system battlefield unopposed. I can assure you of that. I just did a podcast with two regular, ordinary people. They don't have podcasts. They're just regular, ordinary people. Say, my friend Kathy Mathis called me, say, hey, listen, you're not going to believe this. We have 2 more debt forgiveness. One guy had a student loan. The other lady, they stole her what do you call it? 401k by 90%. They were keeping 90%, giving her 10%. And when she called them out on it and was very persistent, they ended up giving her an extra $10,000. So I believe Nassara Jassara is coming. And now I'm starting to do interviews where there's 2 people with debt forgiveness. I have a friend of mine, my very first interview I ever did on, which was a disaster, was a train wreck. Okay. I'm still learning as I go, as you can see. But Patrick called me 3 days before the new year rung in. He said, my nephew just called me, says $200,000 student loan, debt forgiveness. This is happening. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, that don't want to come on camera because they're camera shy, or they want to stay under the radar. I can understand that argument. You understand? But there's going to be a day where people realize, hey, the IRS is out of business. Hey, the Federal Reserve is out of business. The Treasury and the Federal Reserve and the IRS, whatever good people are left from that, are going to form the new Treasury, which I believe is going to be run by XRP. You heard Donald Trump saying, when I get back in office, not if, but when I get back in office, the central bank digital currency is not going to see the light of day. Why? Because I don't need a central bank digital currency. They understand one thing, Andy, their goose is cooked. You understand? I could buy your house from you in XRP and send it directly to your wallet. Do I need a central bank digital currency to do that? I don't. I can send the money directly to you. It doesn't call, the blockchain does not call for another toll on the blockchain. They understand this. This is why we have a Mexican standoff. This is why we have the most egregious manipulation of the market, including gold and silver. You know that gold and silver should be much higher than what it is, and so should XRP, and so should a lot of the ISOs. But because they're still in power, because we paid them quadrillions of dollars, and now we don't like the monster anymore. We want the monster to go away. You understand? So that's
I
how
guess
I
the
think.
question that I've always had a hard time with,
Mhm.
the only real question that I have is how does a decentralized system work when the government would do everything in their power to not allow decentralization of the money supply? That's something that I've yet to really been able to get past, but I understand the whole premise of decentralization. I understand it, and I think it is actually much more efficient. I agree. Having to go through the intermediary system of the SWIFT. I mean, look at that's how we sanction half of the world, and I understand that. And but how do you find the ability to have a government relinquish the centralization of funds? And that's something I just have never been able to really wrap my head around. Maybe you have an easy answer.
Government is going to be shrunk by 95%. They have already lost all their power. We're waiting for a certain gentleman right there, okay, to get back. Once that gentleman gets back, things are going to happen fast and furious. The reason why he doesn't want you, and I don't want to get conspiratorial with you, but one of the main reasons why they don't want him back is he wants to us to graduate out of this extension of the Model T Ford and give you flying cars. We got him on record saying, with his voice, saying we got to get into the race for flying cars. We're still driving an extension of a Model T Ford. It's 2024, dude. You know what I mean? Think about that for 1 second. Someone is controlling that narrative. Someone is controlling that Andy Schectman has to watch his speed. Otherwise, he's going to get pulled over by these losers, and they're going to give you a speeding ticket for going 12 miles over the speed limit. Meanwhile, you ain't killing anybody, but they're working for the man. This is all going to go away. He wants to give you life extension technology. He wants to give you power back to the people. He wants to bring in a flat tax of Nasara and Jasara of about 14 to 17% on things you want, not things you need, on things you want. But everybody has to pay into that system. I don't care if you are, high class, low class, middle class, no class. Everybody has to pay. Everybody. You're not going to be able to get away with it. And with that system, you could prove arguably with mathematics, not hot air, that you have a lot more money in the tilt at the end of the day than with this old system. So you got property taxes about to disappear, income taxes about to disappear. The IRS is completely out of business. We have the videos to prove it. The IRS was registered where? In Puerto Rico. They're not even part of the United States government. They are a mafia organization with badges and guns, registered in Puerto Rico, a corporation. They are the most successful collection agency in the history of the world. Illegal. It says right on your tax, it says voluntary. Well, some of us volunteer not to pay. You understand? We could prove this all day long. Now, they're out of business. I know I've talked to people, Andy, that say, I was on the phone with the IRS for 2 hours only to be hung up on. And this has not happened one time, two times. These people have been on the phone with them 3, 4, 5, and 6 times only to be hung up on. So if nobody's answering the phone, it's very easy to predict someone's out of business. Trump is going to get rid of their ass completely and entirely. If there's any remnants of the IRS, they're done. Okay. So this is the reason why they don't want it back. He wants you, Andy, and me to live to be 200, 300 years old instead of having all these products that are poisoned with all kinds of trans fats and all kinds of sugars and all kinds of bullshit that when you get to be 60 years old, all your joints start to ache. It takes you 5 minutes to get out of bed. He doesn't want that for us.
God bless, man. That'd be amazing.
It's going to happen. When people wake up and they realize what the real truth is, a lot of the normies are going to start to short circuit. They're going to come crying to you, Andy, saying, Andy, could you please help me? Could you explain what's going on here?
Well, I don't consider myself a normie by any stretch of the imagination, but I do consider myself a neophyte as it pertains to digital currencies, to XRP, to a whole new school of thought. But I am always open to learning and listening and growing. So, I it's hard when you come from the old school world. I get it. But what I've seen over the last several years leads me to believe that we are heading to a system that will be reset, that will change. a system that is on its last breath, a system that is completely and totally broken. And so, yes, there's no question that we need a change. I would say that we are in the midst of a man-made reset right now. And someone that I respect very much told me, who knows some very, very, let's just say very, very influential people, said there would be two resets. The first would be man-made, which wouldn't work. The second would be by Mother Nature. And maybe it takes that Mother Nature reset in order for us to accept a whole new system of decentralization, a whole new system where you have a limited government rather than one that is so overbearing and overreaching. So yeah, it would be great if all of those things come true, Mel. And I can tell you that one way or the other, I think maybe we agree at least that we are at the foothills of some sort of an event, some sort of a reset where this broken system needs to be fixed. And so I would say to people who understand what you're talking about better than I do, the wisdom of hedging your bet a little bit anyway, and looking at gold as wealth, not as an investment. It's wealth that has outlived everything the world has ever thrown at it. And the one thing I will say to you, and maybe in a world where the Fed and central banks have far less influence, for the last 50 years or longer, last 100 years, they've been the most influential and well-informed traders in the world, and they're buying gold at levels the world has never seen. So, maybe gold and something like XRP have a marriage of some sort where they would peg gold to a decentralized system that would enable it to have some form of trust that, would give it a tether. I don't know. All I know is that I come on shows like yours with an open mind, and I don't mind doing the listening and let you do the talking. I think there are a lot of people, when I post this on my site, that would get a lot out of a conversation like this, because a lot of the people in my world don't even know these things exist.
Well, I'll tell you, I am the only guy, and I've shown this picture a million times, and it's circulated around the internet a million times, if not a billion times. I'm the only guy that I know of that took a picture of the sky, and it's got clearly an XRP logo. And I sent it to my friend Kathy, and she sent it back to me, and she circled the face of God next to the XRP logo. What in the world is the face of God? And it's clearly the face of God. Okay. And this is an atheist at the time that's taking the damn picture. Okay. So he knows I'm a tough dude. He said, hey, we need a general in this fight that can win the fight. Okay. I've been, I don't know, through my friend that he talks to God on a regular basis, I've been compared to some general back in the Hebrew days, back in the days of Moses. I can't think of the general's name, who was a really tough dude. And so I'm flattered, but I took that picture. I didn't even see that face until somebody else circled it for me and sent it back to me. And I said, oh my God, I'm supposed to be the guy that sells. We have literally the biggest broker in the world. I got people that have private jets. I'm not going to tell you who they are. Some are from Arizona, some are from California, some from the Carolinas. Private jets, which I'll be sending your way, by the way. Hopefully you have a tremendous amount of gold stock available in silver, because these guys will turn on your lights. They'll buy large quantities. And I'm the only guy that has the only broker, because one day, I'll tell you the story because it's funny. Somebody posed as a billionaire. Even my broker bought it stock, lock, and barrel. Okay? The guy turned out to be a fugazi, a fake. Okay? So the reality was, I had to ask the question, because about 6 months later, 6 months earlier than that, I said, Jake, by any chances, are you the guys that sold the $500 million worth of XRP about 5-6 months ago? And there was a pause. And he said, yes, Mel. I said, is there anybody else out there? Now, I don't know if these guys are a hedge fund and they bought a tremendous amount. I don't know if they have a back door to Brad Garlinghouse. I don't know, because if I had their secret sauce recipe, obviously I wouldn't need them. I would be able to supply the XRP myself. I can't. But these guys Somehow, some way, my brokers are connected. Now it's nothing less than 10,000 on the first go around, because we want to sort of separate the men from the boys, and the women from the girls. But the reality is, these guys could do any amount, nothing less than 10,000. Now, once you come into 10,000, you prove yourself on the first go around. Next month, you got 5,000. You can go in for 5,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, but nothing less than two. So that's how it works. So why me? Out of all the people out there, I believe it's General Gideon. That's who I was supposedly compared to. General Gideon. You know anything about the Bible?
I do not. No,
You're not a Bible thumper.
No.
Neither am I. But why are we being guided? That's why now. Why us?
Well, I've had a lot of people say similar things to me, because I've been talking about things for 4 years when no one was, and it's all coming true right now. In particular, 3 years ago, I said Saudi Arabia will join the BRICS, and that it will reshape the petrodollar, and all of the things that I've said in over 2,000 videos over the past 4 years. A lot has come true. And I don't know why. I often say I don't know why I do these videos, to put myself out in front of the public, to put myself out and you know, allow myself to be scrutinized. And you know, I just did a video with General Flynn the other day. You know, he's being watched, and you know, they're watching what I'm doing, and it's a little concerning sometimes, but I try to be respectful in the way that I speak about it. And look, I'm a patriot, Mel. I'm someone this country's given more opportunity to, and I'm the least likely person to have ever achieved it. And
Now,
I'm
you're from
very
another
sad
country,
by what
right?
I see.
Your father's from another country?
No, my father and I started, you know, we started in a one-room office. My dad's middle name is Miles, and his friend who lent us 60 grand in 1989 to start the company in a one-room office, size of a closet. His middle name is Franklin, and the rest is history. And, you know, I am saddened by what I see. And I think we are at a point right now where, when you look at what's happening around the world, and when you look at what's happening in this country in particular, we signed an executive order to go green. We have weaponized the US dollar. We're confiscating Russian assets now to use to fight the Ukrainian war. We have incentivized all of these countries to join together. 5 have, along with the original BRICS, and that's the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Ethiopia. And if you look at a map of the Middle East, you'll see they have the Red Sea surrounded, and the Straits of Hormuz. And you have 30 other countries that have formally applied, all massively natural resource rich, and also key strangle points in shipping and in transit. They are thinking this out very, very methodically. They own the majority of the world's commodities. They own a much larger share of global GDP, a much larger share of human population, 2 of the 3 largest nuclear arsenals on the planet. The days of the dollar being the world reserve currency are slowly coming to an end. I call it logarithmic decay, little by little by little by little by little, then bang, all at once. And I guess where you come in is that you believe that the new system after the all at once will be upon something decentralized like XRP.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right.
The decentralization can be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think there's anybody out there that is more qualified than none other than Satoshi Nakamoto, aka David Schwartz, okay, to be able to explain to you how much more decentralized XRP is than the Bitcoin that does 3 transactions per minute. Okay. And, you know, getting back to what you said, it's so amazing. What country in the world could you put up $60,000 with the perfect name, Miles Franklin, and start a gold company, and 30, 35 years later, it's world renowned? Where could you do that besides America?
Right. And that's my point. And you know, it's something that I take great pride in. And I wonder if those opportunities still exist any longer. And you're right. And that's one of the things that makes me so concerned. And I think what has happened in this country is too stupid to be stupid. I mean, you can talk about the weaponizing of the dollar. You can talk about signing an executive order to go green when the hegemony of the dollar is based upon the protection of the Saudi kingdom and oil. You can talk about all of that. And if this country was the same country, Mel, that you and I grew up in, I think we'd have a shot we wouldn't be having these conversations. But if you take a look at what we've done inside the country, we have record debt. We have the lowest amount of savings ever. We have massive divisiveness between so many different types of people, red and blue and black and white and rich and poor and vax and no vax and all of these things. We have lawlessness where a cop gets beat up in your old neck of the woods in New York. And I mean, it's unbelievable. Who the hell beats up a cop and then gets the five immigrants who are there illegally then get released without bail? I mean, where are we? We look at a judicial system that probably half the country thinks is fugazi, and the borders and all of this stuff. The world is looking at the United States like, what the hell's going on? And it's as if we are incentivizing this controlled demolition. And I think it's let's just hope that there are some white hats out there that are orchestrating this in order to make this transition not so disorderly. I hope it's something that is, not so crazy. But then when you realize we let 12 million people in the country illegally, and you got to wonder about that. If 0.2% of those people have malintent, that's 24,000 people that could do a lot of damage. I mean, it's something that I think people should reflect upon. And instead of clinging to the world reserve status, we've done everything we can to shed it. We've done everything we can to squander the good graces of our foreign creditors. And this is not lost on the rest of the world. And so I guess, it's funny. I said to someone today that I've been saying this for so long, and it's crazy how it's come true faster than I would have thought. But when we get to that moment where OPEC says we're no longer taking dollars for oil and the dollar gets dumped globally, mind you that every country in the world's had to stockpile them for over 50 years to buy oil. And keep in mind, you got the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia just said recently that China is their most important trading partner in oil this year and for the next 50. Do you think he used those numbers, that phrase, it means something? It was 50 years ago that we signed the Petro deal. And now he says China is, but the point I'm getting is when the dollars get dumped because no one needs to hold them to buy oil anymore, when that moment happens and this tsunami of inflation hits our shores, which stocks, bonds, real estate, and the banking system are all inversely correlated to a spike in interest rates. I mean, a real spike when the world just dumps dollars and the whole system resets, stocks, bonds, dollars, real estate, and the banks implode. It's that Klaus Schwab moment. It's that great reset moment. What does it look like? And I said to someone today, my mind goes blank there. And that's where you take over. That's where your thesis of this being planned, maybe, but a new system arises. And let's just hope that new system is already in place, because I don't know what it looks like when that happens, especially with what's happened to this country, the lawlessness and the lack of respect in general, whether it be for authority or our fellow man, is just something that is not very reminiscent of the country I remember growing up in. So I don't know, maybe you can tell me when this happens, when this moment happens, because I think there will be a reset. And the funny thing is, you talking to Sarah, maybe it's the same thing, but when you look at who all of the debt is owed to, you have Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and government military pensions that are about 150 trillion unfunded liabilities. Let's not forget a trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago. It's all owed to us. And who's been selling all the bonds? Well, that's all the foreign central banks, China and Russia, Saudi Arabia, Japan, India. They're all dumping bonds. Who's buying them all? The American public and the financial advisors chasing yield and the hedge funds. So the majority of this massive mountain of debt is owed to us. And if it did reset, if it did collapse, if we did lose the petro status, I mean, we signed an executive order to go green. We weaponized the dollar. We've allowed this to happen. We've incentivized it. Part of the petrodollar thing, Mel, is that they take the oil, the dollars for oil, and then the excess they put into treasuries. Well, how's that looked over the last year or two? So we blew up the bond market. We chose an inflation over austerity. We've let our country turn into something that it never was. And we've told the world we're bullies. We'll sanction you. We'll confiscate you if you're on the wrong side. And oh, by the way, we're going green. Too stupid to be stupid or planned. So when this happens, when this blows up, I would like to hope, if you're right, that there are people already in place to put this new system to work right away. Because if not, I think, look, Nasara, Jasara, yeah, all debt's going to be gone. It's a lot easier to forgive debt to the American people and start over with the new system than it is to the rest of the world. And it appears that the majority of all the debt that is owed by the American government is to the people of the United States. So, yeah, maybe it is planned. Maybe that is Nasara Jasara. I don't know, but I'll let you take a stab at that. When the whole thing goes upside down, pear-shaped, where does your thesis come into play there?
Well, look, a lot of people are against the universal basic income, and so am I. There's a lot of things that we don't understand yet because the dust hasn't settled. We don't know exactly how the dust is going to settle. I will tell you this, that guys like, for example, Brad Kimes, who understands Nasara Jasara, he's made a video about 2.5 years, 3 years ago, which is a very, very entailed video. You could talk to him about it about when you get on the phone with him here in the next hour. It's all going to come down to how the chips are going to line up. Yes, is this going to hurt a lot of people? Absolutely. Do we need a new system? No question about it. Do we need a debt forgiveness? Absolutely. Look, you and I are both in agreement that the system is broken. Continuing, it's like being at the bar. You're drunk as hell, but you decide to drink another, fifth of tequila. Chances are you might die. Right now, the system is so volatile that you're literally a category 2 earthquake will take this whole entire thing down. The guys and girls upstairs know that. Will they try to fake a Jasara and Nasara of their own? Yes. Is it the military? You're in a movie that is so complicated. Let me put it to you in perspective. I've had people from the XRP Army 1.0, and they report the news as if the third world is never going to go away. I got bad news for you. It's going to go away. There's no question about it. There's a new world that's coming. This, whether you want to call it Nasara Jasara, whether you want to call it a debt jubilee, whether you want to call it something that was coined in the Bible, it doesn't matter. It's coming. When the dust settles, we'll know exactly how much of it we got right. Right now, it's pure hyperbole, purely speculation. You and I could speculate until we're blue in the face and the cows come home. That doesn't make us right until we see how the dust settles. Is the dollar going to be backed by the digital dollar going to be backed by gold and silver? I see that's as clear as day. Is the new currency, whether it's a rainbow currency or some other kind of currency, going to be backed by gold and silver? There's no question about it. But here's where I differ from everybody else, because I'm the salmon, remember, that swims upstream. By the way, I got you talking Brooklyn now, saying fugazi, which is funny. But the reality is,
I love that. I've always loved that word, fugazi.
Yeah. But
living
anyway,
down here on this side of Florida, everyone is from Queens and Brooklyn and New Jersey, and I get that every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a bunch of us down here. So the bottom line becomes that I think because of the blockchain, and you ever hear that the tokenization of everything is coming. You've heard this. I'm sure you're not new to this at this point. The tokenization, why? Because you cannot finagle the bagel. You cannot mess with the blockchain. The blockchain is unhackable. It is absolutely precise, scientific, mathematical science on steroids. You can't mess with it. Okay? So I think the gold is going to be backed by XRP. I think the silver is going to be backed by XLM. And I think the copper is going to be backed by XDC. I think it's the other way around in many instances. And again, I'm going to either going to be proven right or I'm going to be proven wrong. The reason why is this. If you buy a tremendous amount of gold, you're a billionaire, you're not going to go put that in your house. You'd be crazy. You have to be sitting home with, fully automatic machine guns to guard your shit for a very long time. That's not fun. Okay. So you have to figure out right now, there's storage places like Brinks and all these places that you could put it, and you can make an appointment once a year to go visit gold and silver. It's a real legitimate place where you can store your gold and silver, and they're going to charge you a little bit of rent. But imagine if your gold and silver lives on the blockchain and it's a real deal. And everybody understands it to be a real deal. And not just on a belief system, just the fact that you have the gold and you can call that gold anytime. In other words, you can't have more gold on the blockchain than gold exists. You can't have more silver on the blockchain than silver exists. Just like right now, how many boiler rooms have I seen? And I've worked a few of them. I've run a few boiler rooms myself. is I got the hell of a gift of gab, just like you do. And I moved up to management positions very, very quickly in some of these boiler rooms where they were selling gold and silver. And when I found that out, obviously I didn't work there anymore because I'm not a scammer. I said, I want nothing to do with it. I'm gone. I'm out of here. And I was gone. Selling paper, a piece of paper saying, hey, you own gold and silver, but it's just a piece of paper. Go try and collect your gold and silver. Good luck with that. So there's so many moving parts and nobody really has the answers to anything. The only thing we could do is look at something, speculate it, talk to other people who analyze the same breadcrumb and get their perspective on it and try to make sense of it all. And we might come close with some things and we may get other things completely off. But I do believe a debt jubilee, a Jasara Nasara is upon us. How much longer will it take? I say Donald Trump is going to make things happen in record speed because this guy does not move slow. That's number one. Number two, the very first thing he'll do, because he's not going to bring you the flying cars immediately. Okay. We're still going to be driving probably, cars that ride on 4 rubber tires, which is an extension of the Model T Ford for another 2 or 3 years before they introduce. But he's going to turn on the spigot where? Over there in Alaska, that Keystone pipeline will be turned on immediately. That will be fast and furious. 140,000 people are going to get their job back right away, and we become fuel efficient, which means your gasoline is going to be like, maybe $1.95 for high test, for super. So things have to change, but in order for things to change, we got to get rid of the clones. And I say clones loosely. There's been videos that have come across my desk in my Telegram groups, which are down below. You guys are crazy not to join. Okay. Where you could vividly see the guy's mask wrinkling. Now, I don't know if it's a clone or if it's an actor. Whatever it is, I believe that the white hats are in control and they have to paint a narrative to try and wake us up, saying, hey, could you see his mask wrinkling? Could you see that this guy is a clone? Could you see that the ears are different? Could you see that the lips are different? Could you see that this guy was born with a birthmark and this guy doesn't have a birthmark? Could you see that this guy was righty and this guy now is lefty? Could you see that? So they have to sort of throw you the breadcrumbs to see how many people. So when we reach critical mass, 80% of the people awake and the 20% don't want to wake up, we're going with or without them. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know if that's a long-winded answer to your question, but it's definitely an answer.
No, man, it's all good. It's that, like I said, I respect everyone's viewpoint. And, I've seen that video of Biden where he touches the back of his neck and it looks like, it doesn't look like skin to me, and it crinkles up and you see these things and you wonder. I don't know, Mel. All I know is that I have an open mind and I'm willing to learn and listen and prepare for what's coming best I can. And that would mean owning some XRP, owning some Bitcoin, owning some precious metals, preparing for a hurricane, whether you live in Florida or not, in every way, and let the chips fall where they may. But I think at least the first step is waking up and understanding that the system is broken and we're running out of time to prepare, because something's going to break between now and the fall. I'm very sure of it, with this meeting in October and 200 meetings in Russia, all BRICS related before that. That's every day, just about. And then the election in November. The likelihood of this being a very non-eventful 8 or 9 months, I think, is next to nil. So you could argue we're running out of time. And that's kind of the way that I'm beginning to feel. Like life is a roll of toilet paper, and it spins first at the beginning very slowly. You don't notice the passage of time, but we're getting to the end and you can see the cardboard coming. And where are we? When do we run out of the paper? I don't know, but I do feel that you could argue it runs out by November, some way or some form. Something happens. Now, we might throw another roll on there after that. Who knows? But I think something's going to go down before then. And I think people need to wake up and prepare right now and hope that it was preparation that was done in vain and reluctantly at best. And okay, fine, I didn't need it. But if you do, and you're right, I think you'll be glad that you had the foresight and listened to guys like you and looking at the world a little bit differently and taking steps to protect yourself and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and then getting back to Miles Franklin, and we're going to close this out. This was, I think, was a great exchange of ideas and beliefs, etc. I don't necessarily call it an interview. I like to have a discussion instead of
Yeah, no,
interviewing somebody.
I found it, I probably got more out of it than you did. And again, a lot of the people that will see this on my side, I think will get something out of it as well, because a lot of us, I think a lot of people in the gold world are open-minded. They just haven't been really educated in this. A lot of them are older and they don't understand the digital side of things. So, little by little, we can open people's eyes and hopefully their minds.
Absolutely. If someone wanted to come to your company right now and said, "I need $2 million worth of gold and silver," do you have the stockpiles to be able to fulfill that order? Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and then some,
And then some.
many times that. While they can go to our website, the best way for anyone who has questions about anything they heard here, would like a much more competitive price list that we kind of keep close to the vest that we don't publish. Questions on IRAs, questions on anything with no obligation. Send us an email at info@milesfranklin. Say Mel sent me. That's important so we know it came from you, and we will send you the current price list, answer any questions, contact you if you ask to be contacted. We've done this for 34 years. As of today is February. This is our 34th year in business, uh, February 1990. And we've never had a customer complaint. We'll make sure
Yeah.
your listeners aren't the first. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We do our best to fix them if we do.
Yeah.
But we would love to work with your listeners. And, I'm sure that a lot of them will open our eyes even more when we get a chance to talk to them, since they're so well versed on what you do. We're well versed on what we do, and sharing information and listening and having an open mind is how we all grow. So what we excel in is relationships. And I think it's one of our best attributes as a company. Our prices are second to none. Our expertise and our knowledge and our history is second to none. And so is our willingness to develop a relationship and to, have these kinds of discussions, whether it be you and I online or between one of our incredibly qualified representatives. Most of them have had very distinguished careers. Most of them are my oldest friends going back to childhood. A lot of them worked on Wall Street, degrees from Ivy League, Wharton, uh, and other Ivy League schools. It's skipping me at the moment, but suffice it to say, the all in business administration and whatnot. But what I'm really trying to say is that there are people who are qualified to not just take orders, but to have discussions that are mutually beneficial. So we'd like that. Info at Miles Franklin. Any questions? Mel sent me, and we'll take care of them.
Yeah. Promo code, I believe, is Mel Carmine. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of you coming in with information. We come in with information. We put it together. We become this nucleus. Then you got Dr. Sandra Michael Rose with scalar wave technology. People's bodies are reversing itself from all kinds of disease that we're not allowed to mention here. Okay. It's the body that heals the body. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make an announcement right here, right now, guys. We are about to pull the trigger. We are about to pull the trigger on 400,000 commercials on social media, Brevard County, surrounding counties, probably in the next 2-3 weeks at the very outside. Okay. We're going to turn it on like it's nobody's business. And I will tell you, if you don't book now your sessions, there's going to be a time in the very near future where you're going to go to the website and we're not taking anybody because we're full for the next 2-3 months. I'm not playing. I'm here playing for real, if you know what I mean. Okay. 400,000 1-minute spots. They're going out everywhere. Tony Robbins is in one of those spots. Absolutely powerful, powerful stuff. And guys, if you enjoyed this content as much as I did, don't forget Miles Franklin, promo code Mel Carmine down below. Send them an email. Do whatever you got to do. Get yourself some gold and some silver. I know Bo Pony thinks it's going to be worth a lot. And I believe Bo Pony is right. Do I believe with the $50,000 price tag per ounce on silver? That might be a little bit of a stretch for me to get to, but I do believe 5, 6,000, 7,000, maybe even 8, 10,000 is in the works, because when you realize that the silver is so much more scarce than the gold and it's got so much more utility, the smart money is on the silver. Andy Schectman, thank you for coming to the show, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Do it again soon, brother. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Digital soldiers, do your job. Make sure you get this far and wide. We beat the algorithms exactly like that. We will win or lose this war because you did your job or you didn't do your job. Now go do your job. Thank you.